I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs?
Here.
Master Barger?
Here.
Master Tudor?
Here.
Master Buckin?
Present.
Judge Taylor?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite Brother Steve Hobbs from Berea Church of God up to lead us in a word of prayer. I appreciate you being here today, Brother Hobbs.
Thank you, Judge. Let's pray. Father, we're always grateful and thankful for an opportunity to be able to come to you because we do not take that lightly. Father, we appreciate very much the purpose and the function of government because without it, life would be in chaos. And so we thank you for government. We thank you for the leaders of our government, Father, and their sacrifice and their hard work because we know that it's a thankless job. We know, Father God, it's a very hard job, and we appreciate them very much. We pray the blessings of God upon this meeting. We pray the wisdom of God upon our leaders, and for that we are grateful. We ask you to bless our wonderful, beautiful county and great state. We ask all of this in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Sheriff, if you will, lead us in pledge.
Would please rise, face our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Sheriff. Guys, y'all have had a chance to look over the meeting minutes of the previous meeting. Do have one addition there in the first paragraph, Clerk Barger. If we can, we need to add Larry. Larry was here, and it shows that he was here in the votes. But in the first paragraph, in attendance, it does not have Magistrate Larry Combs in the first paragraph. You're not. You're in all these yeses right here as you go on down through when it was a vote.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, guys, if y'all approve the minutes and you approve the change that I just recommended, I need a motion and a second.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, the treasury report, which typically is only on the fourth Tuesday of the month, but I've asked Glenna to go ahead and present the claims from the end of the year. So go ahead.
Yes.
Glenna.
So I passed out, there is a transfer list and claims that were paid between the last court in June until June 30th. All these were paid out of the 18-19 budget. We don't have any claims for this court because we just paid everything. So we'll have a new claims list. Our first claims that are being paid out of the 19-20 will be on the next court. So if anybody has any questions about these, but these have already been paid.
Guys, we have any questions for Glenna? Seeing none. Thank you, Glenna. Appreciate it. Next, I would ask the court's permission to amend the agenda. We need to add a executive session, and we also need to add a resolution 1918, which is our build transportation grant. We've been working pretty hard on getting this application ready by the 15th, and in all of our preparation, we had to add this last minute. We were worried about everybody else's support and forgot about us supporting ourselves. So sorry I had to add this last minute, but I think you all are very aware of what we're trying to do with the build grant on the Kentucky 52. So if you all approve in amending the agenda for executive session and the resolution 1918 on the build transportation grant, I need a motion and a second.
So move. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, thanks, guys. First order of business today will be the Madison County Health Department. Mr. Lloyd's here for the Safety City update. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to just kind of tell you about some of the cool things that are happening out there. Somebody asked to get a couple numbers. One of the things I'm going to start out saying is y'all got your little wrist thing there. This is one of the many education pieces that goes on out there. We want people to be seen at night. This is retroreflective. A lot of people use these. We give these to the kids and a lot of adults and such. There's also a buckle up. We do a lot of transportation safety. We're trying to get everybody to wear seat belts. That is just one part, and that's kind of the part that I do. The rest, you're going to hear all these different collaborators and partners that teach so many different areas of injury prevention, firearms, boat safety, bicycles, railroad safety, ATV. It's really comprehensive, and it couldn't be done without the help of all our community partners. This course is the Safety City belongs to the county. We have an agreement that we try to do the scheduling through the health department, and we are out there recruiting the school children and different folks to come. In our last fiscal year, and ours ended June 30th, and I'm going to the fiscal year, we had 448 school children and 14 adults that came along with them. We have parenting classes that are with the court-ordered. It's partnership with the Extension Office. They teach these court-ordered parenting classes, and part of that class, one of their sessions, is with us out at Safety City, where they have to learn parenting skills and safety concepts, which is it's a pretty cool thing there. Other groups that use the facility, we have a variety of coalitions. Primarily the Safety Coalition is one. That's made up of a lot of community partners and working on injury prevention. There's all different types from fall prevention thing. So it's a place where we can meet. And it's between Bree and Richmond, kind of a neutral ground. Everybody from the county can make it there easily. We've had scout troops come and use the flagpole out there to learn about the flag and how to treat it and some things like that. So there's a lot of things that go on out there at different times. The other area that is kind of more the county's purview, but we use it when we have kids out there, is the park that's right next to it. It's used by the public on a regular basis, and for that area, folks that out there, they come and like the little place they can have a picnic and such like that. So one of the things with that number that we had, that's really about half of what we normally get in a year. And so a couple of challenges that we've had in the last fiscal year was the biggest one was weather. We had from June of last year to all the way up through the winter this year just so much rain, and if any of you grow hay, and how many people lost hay this year? Well, we lost our kids coming from schools because they have to cancel. And when you lose a couple classes with 100 kids coming in, those numbers add up. So we've got some plans for that. The other challenge that we had some change in staffing at the health department, and I will say I'm kind of excited about it, but I am now the point person again. Some of us know, have been around when Safety City was started, and I was very much involved with it, and the scheduling and all that, and we've had different people that have tried to take that on. I'm back, that's my responsibility again, so I'm actually enjoying that quite a bit, being out there and such. One of the things I want to share today in particular is the strengths that we have because we have a Safety City. And the reason it works so well is because of the collaboration that we have. And I'm going to go through some of these just so you get an idea of how many different people come and participate and support the children in our communities. We have all our first responders are a part of this. And I'm going to say more about the Madison County Fire Department because they're our primary partner, and the Madison County Sheriff's Department, but we have Richmond Fire Department, Richmond Police Department, Berea Fire Department, Berea Police Department, Kentucky State Police, Bluegrass Army Depot, both fire and law enforcement out there at times, and the Madison County Ambulance Service. One of the things, that's just our first responders that come, and they bring their equipment, and sometimes they'll bring a motorcycle, sometimes it's a cruiser, but they bring fire trucks, they bring the ambulances, and they teach them things that they can only teach by having the equipment there and their presence. And one of the strengths that we have this year that has really come on in the last, maybe I should say 2 years, but particularly this last year, is the enthusiasm that Madison County Fire Department, their new employees and new folks, there is some enthusiasm. They get out there and those kids love them, and they do. And they're out there and they're showing them all the things from boat safety to whatever it is. And I can't say how much I appreciate them. And then Deputy Stotts, many of you know him. He is a jewel. He is out there and he can connect with those kids and teaches them firearm safety. There's a lot of things like 911, how to do those things. There's just a tremendous amount of education, and it's effective because of the people that are collaborating. Now, we have some more collaborators too, but I do want you to know that the Madison County Fire Department, Madison County Sheriff Department, and all our other first responders are really putting a lot into this. Along with our other partners. I have to say Madison County EMA and CSEP folks, they come and we have a shelter-in-place area. It demonstrates what it looks like to have one shelter in place, one of the little buildings out there. And that's kind of unique because one of the things that we see all the time when we have kids that come out to the thing, there's parents with them. And the parents go away, well, I didn't know that. And they learn as much as the kids do. And it happens every time. Whenever there's parents, they start asking questions and stuff, and they say, well, I didn't know that. So anyway, that's a pretty neat thing. Our Madison County Health Department, we have our staff that goes out there and does some of the education pieces, particularly the transportation safety and car seats, things like that. And we also bring students with us, oftentimes from Berea College or EKU, and they do projects out there, and they actually get a chance to do some of the education. Our local schools, all of our schools are sending kids to Safety City, and that is that's a real plus. If you remember back in when gas prices went way up high, they didn't send their kids out there, but they do now. We have a lot of support from. I will be talking in the Madison County Schools Principals meeting about Safety City and some of the other transportation projects that we have, and a few other things going on. So. And the teachers that, particularly the kindergarten academy teachers and stuff like that, they've made it a part of what they do every fall and sometimes in the spring too. So it's become part of the norm for them, and their kids look forward to it. And I have to say, and Mr. Combs, we've been at this a long time.
Long time.
It's really interesting because, I have adults that say, oh yeah, I remember you from Safety City. And they remember that from way back, and they're adults now. It's like, good, I'm glad you remember that. I also want to say, besides the schools and these first responders and the local agencies, we have citizens that come and do things for us that is really amazing. We've had somebody donated a boat to put out there, which was pretty cool. CSX does some work for us to keep the railroad thing going on. Operation Lifesavers gives us stuff. That's a railroad safety group that gives us stuff to teach to the kids. It wasn't in the last fiscal year, but Novellis, a local company here, came and did a bunch of work and worked on it as a volunteer. We've had high school students do some of their service projects by helping us do some of those things like that. And then just individuals that come out and want to help in different ways. It's an ongoing thing. It's, over the years, there's been a few changes and stuff, but the consistency has been the collaboration and that keeps the place going. It's amazing. It couldn't be done because there's nobody out there full time, and it's like what we all do as just a little piece of what we do in the big picture of what our jobs are. But I think it really meets an important need in our community in a lot of ways. That's really what I had. I could go on and on about it because I'm pretty excited about it, but do you all have any questions? And I will say again, I really appreciate the Madison County Fire Department. They have stepped up in ways, and we talk about ways that Safety City can be even better for folks using in our community. So any questions that you all have?
Lloyd, what's the primary age groups that you...
Primary age groups is kindergarten, first grade, but like this summertime program, we get a lot of the elementary, and sometimes it's the older kids. We don't have as many third, fourth, fifth graders that come in. The scout group, sometimes there's a little bit older ones. We didn't do any last year, but sometimes we'll do a babysitter class. We do it in partnership with the extension. Those are like middle school girls. I will say girls because there'll be 20 girls and might be one guy, but there have been a few guys through the babysitting, and that's a partnership with the extension office, helping them with that. It just changes. So the primary one is kindergarten, first grade, getting them through, and then after that, we do see other groups. We've even had adults, and we had some scheduled this year with special needs, and they're adults that come through, and they kind of go, and that's kind of a special time, and it's really neat when they come.
I think if you get the school system to work with you, second and third grade, a refresher course, because sometimes you're in kindergarten, first grade, you don't remember everything.
I would love it.
Go back in a couple of years later and do a refresher course and go through it again. I think it'd be a great idea.
Well, I will share that. At my principals, we're still, of course, with the principals and those folks that I could tell them about it and stuff, and we have a lot of good support for the principals right now for the younger ones. I would love to come and get the third and fourth graders to come back. That would be an awesome thing.
Lord, I want to thank you for the time you put in, and especially coming here, and, this is broadcast, and a lot of people will see it
Yeah.
and understand exactly what you all do, and
Yeah.
sound like me, you got a plate full.
Yeah. It is an education facility, and since it's public, I will tell people up front, we don't do birthday parties, we don't do wedding receptions, we don't. It is set aside for educational purposes, is what it's for, okay? I get that question a lot. And the park is open to the public when it's daylight, just like a normal county park. If any groups that are out there that hear this publicly, I will give you a phone number that people can call to talk about scheduling. But it does have to be scheduled. We don't have drop-ins right now because we don't have staff out there all the time. But a number that if anybody wants to call to schedule a time with Safety City, it would be the 859 area code, but 228-2044. That is our Madison County Health Department line that goes to our Berea office where I'm at, and they can take the information and I will get back with them.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lloyd. Appreciate it. Guys, next on the agenda is the second reading of 1909 Animal Control Ordinance. It was advertised appropriately with KRS. This time, if y'all have any questions or comments on the second reading of 1909 Animal Control Ordinance, this ordinance does repeal Ordinance 1602. It's obviously a pretty long ordinance, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But y'all, it has been on Dropbox, and y'all have had a chance to look at it. And if y'all approve, I need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve ordinance 1909, the animal control.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comment?
There was no changes, were there?
I'm sorry?
There was no changes.
Not between the first and second reading, no.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is our first reading of ordinance 1910. This is 1692 Breer Road. This is a zone change from UC1 to UC5. Bert, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. Are you going to read it, or you?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I didn't know. I sure will. An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 1692 Breer Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas this hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, to consider a land use change request application from UC1 Urban Corridor Single Family Residential to UC5 Urban Corridor Light Industrial. The applicant's request stated that their justification for the proposed change, being the existing zoning classification given to the property, is inappropriate, and the proposed zoning classification is appropriate and in keeping with the comprehensive plan. Findings of fact were made by the commission that the property does lie within the urban corridor, that the comprehensive plan encourages development within the corridor, the property is bordered in the rear by industrial property and is in an area that does support industrial use for the type of property. The commission further found that the proposed UC5 Urban Corridor Light Industrial for the property was in general conformity with the comprehensive plan. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission, upon hearing testimony, made a motion with unanimous consent to recommend to the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the land use change request from UC1 Urban Corridor Single Family Residential to UC5 Urban Corridor Light Industrial.
So this property, if y'all are familiar with it, it's a couple doors down from Okanite coming back towards Richmond. It actually is bordered in the rear by Electro Dryer, which is in the city limits of Richmond, industrial, obviously Okanite's industrial. It's also in an area there where the state's in the process of obtaining right-of-way to widen 25 there. You've got the commercial property at Duncannon, so the Planning Commission just felt that that general area is appropriate for that zoning. And like the motion or the ordinance said, it was unanimous consent or unanimous recommendation, and we didn't have anybody that was opposed to it.
Is that a vacant house now, Bert?
I think they use that house, the person that owns that house actually owns Electro Dryer as well, and I think they use that house for when they have customers or engineers, people that come in to work at Electro Dryer, they let them stay in the house.
Is the plans of demolishing the house? Or?
I think they're actually going to try to put an entrance, a secondary entrance, demolish the house, yes, and put an entrance to 25 from Electro Dryer.
Specific plans besides that?
That's the only thing they submitted. They're just required to submit kind of a concept, nothing real specific, but that's all they've indicated to us.
Which is not a whole lot they can do there anyway.
Yeah, they're losing a lot of their front yard to this.
Is it even gonna be an acre after that?
A couple doors back towards Duncan. That house is actually being, it may already be on the ground. They're getting ready to tear it down, so that whole area is going to change dramatically here in the next.
Is it even going to be left with an acre once the?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay. All right, guys, if y'all approve in first reading ordinance 1910 for 1692 Breer Road, zone change from UC1 to UC5, I need a motion and a second, please.
So move.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Second, this is in my area in the 4th District, Judge, and I've been out there and looked at it, and I think it's a good suit for this, what they're asking for.
Thanks, Tom. Seeing no further discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is Resolution 1914. This is 2019 USBR 21 Transportation Grant. The BR stands for Bicycle Route. So that's United States Bicycle Route 21 Transportation Grant. A resolution of the County of Madison, Kentucky, authorizing the Judge Executive to make application for and upon approval to enter into an agreement with the 2019 Transportation Grant Program to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the project and to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, desires to make an application for the 2019 Transportation Grant Program requesting funding of $80,000 for the proposed highway improvement on USBR 21 bike route through the state of Kentucky. The commitment of Madison County Fiscal Court of $16,000 will be utilized as partial financial match for the grant application. Now therefore be it resolved this day, June 9, 2019, by Madison County, Kentucky, which will change that to July. The Judge Executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including a memorandum of agreement, as may be required for the furtherance of the above referenced project, and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project. Guys, a little bit of, the resolution has to be written this way. This is actually a regional project between 10 counties, and we've had lots of discussion about this US Route 21, this bike route, that actually is a federal project that goes from Florida actually all the way to Cleveland. And in Kentucky, they've asked us to be the applicant agent for the grant, and it's with 10 other counties. This money would actually purchase the signs that identify that route for bicyclists. Richmond is part of it. Berea is part of it. Our actual portion of it for our county is approximately $1,000. And then each city of Berea and city of Richmond is also $1,000. So it's a total for our county of $3,000. The other the other $13,000 would be paid out by those other 10 counties. So it's a really good benefit for us, especially from a tourism standpoint for our two cities of this bike route, being able to come through our cities and people stop and eat and stay. And so.
And that money's earmarked for signing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's really Dr. Fox. Everybody knows Dr. Fox. You gotta love Dr. Fox. You know, but he's been at the forefront of the Boone's Trace, Friends of Boone's Trace, and that is, Daniel Boone's trail that he blazed to Fort Boonesboro. Came through Boone Gap right down here on the Rock Castle line, and this U.S. Bike Route 21 is sort of overlapping our Boone's Trace trail. it gives it, you know, federal dollars. It gives it, and I don't know all the details, and newspapers. If you want to talk to somebody that knows about it, call Dr. Fox. Okay? He's a great guy. But it gives on federal websites, you know, it sort of, this bike route sort of puts Kentucky and Madison County on the map. I mean, bicycle is a big activity. There's a lot of people that do it. So, do y'all have any questions?
Judge, I move we adopt Resolution 1914, 2019 USBR 21 Transportation Grant.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Have a second? Any more discussion?
Judge, I think this is, anytime we can receive funding, I've got several friends and family members that ride bicycles. Anytime we can promote safety trails for bikes and marking those trails to let not only the bikers but the public know that there were bikers up ahead of them and keep these riders safe on their highways. I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Call the roll, please.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Resolution 1915, the opioid grant, a resolution agreeing to partner with the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government in the National Dislocated Worker Grant Program, whereas the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government is applying to participate in the National Dislocated Worker Grant Program designed for persons who have experienced opioid addiction to provide career pathways and job opportunities to strengthen the economy in the counties in the Central Kentucky area, including Madison County. And whereas the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government has requested the Madison County Fiscal Court to participate in the program at no cost to the county, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court finds that participating in the program is in the best interest of the citizens of Madison County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Madison County Fiscal Court as follows. Should approval occur, Madison County shall participate with the LFUCG in the National Dislocated Worker Grant Program, and Reagan Taylor, as Judge Executive, is hereby authorized to execute every necessary document to evidence the county's participation. Guys, the Mayor Gorton, myself, and Judge Joe Pat Covington, Scott County's Judge Executive, have had several meetings about this opportunity. This is a pilot, is the way I look at it. It is led by Mayor Gorton and her administration at Fayette Urban County Government. I mean, it's a good opportunity for us to try to just take that one baby step into trying to combat this opioid crisis, this drug epidemic, and to really grab a hold of somebody and put them through opportunities, get good trainings, get financial compensation. I think this grant actually allows up to 30 participants, and we'll get some of those participants that I will get to be able to choose who has that opportunity. One of the things I would like to do, and I haven't done it yet, is like to talk to Judge Logue, Judge Earl Ray Neal, Judge Harden about our drug court program, to see if there's somebody in our drug court program that could really benefit from some of this. There's financial literacy classes, there's job placement classes, trainings to get people relocated into a good path and decently paying jobs.
How much funding would be directed toward Madison County, Judge? You have any
I don't have it right off the top of my head. There's really not. I don't know that there's really necessarily funding to Madison County. It's a Fayette County initiative that we're going to be able to benefit from, because for their grant application, being regional, having other buying it helps their application better. And I'm guessing, if there's 30, they're doing it. We might get 5. Scott County might get 5 participants. Maybe. Yeah. But it's a good opportunity for us to see how it works. And it might be something that we come back after we see the effects of it and how good it has been from a recruitment standpoint, from partnering with industries in the local community. It might be something that we want to try, to put an initiative on.
Talked about this over and over and over and beat this to death, but I mean, the one piece that's always been missing in all the programs that we've looked at is offering somebody a job when they successfully complete everything.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't change the environment where they're heading back to, you've wasted your time.
Right. Yep. If y'all approve then in supporting the Resolution 1915, partnering with Lexington Fayette Urban County Government, as well as Scott County, I need on the opioid grant, which is the National Dislocated Worker Grant Program. I need a motion and a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, Resolution 1916. This is a planning commission hiring of legal counsel. We felt like the best way to handle this was to put it in a resolution. Whereas this resolution certifies that the Madison County Fiscal Court authorizes the Madison County Planning Commission to hire independent legal counsel to advise the Madison County Planning Commission at a cost not to exceed $10,000 per year. And whereas the independent legal counsel for Madison County Planning Commission will provide guidance and legal opinions to the Planning Commission. And now therefore be it resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court gives the Madison County Planning Commission authority to retain independent legal counsel under the terms set forth above on this date, 2019, July 2019. If y'all approve in Resolution 1916, I need a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this? Do y'all understand what we're doing?
Is that basically just continuing with the legal service that we already have with the planning and zoning?
Yes, it is. We found that due to KRS's, some legal, I'm not a lawyer by no means, but the best practice is that our county attorney's office is not representing, well, the county attorney can't represent fiscal court and planning commission. And so this was the easiest way to let the planning commission decide who, as a commission, decide who they want to hire, and us not be that person. The problem is they can't spend money, and so by doing this resolution, it gives the planning commission the authority up to what we have in the budget, which we have a line item in the budget for legal counsel for planning commission, not to exceed.
Right. So this will give the planning commission the option to go out and then negotiate terms of what will be involved in that representation. Do they come to meetings? Do they write the ordinances? Do they, they obviously will advise me in between meetings if I have questions that come up of a legal nature. So it just authorizes the money for the planning commission to now be able to go out and decide who they want to represent them.
This probably be a better fit for you all anyway.
Well, they'll get to decide who they want and who they feel comfortable with, and if they're comfortable with them, then it stands to reason it'd be a good fit.
And in some cases, I guess it could be a conflict of interest to go through the county attorney's office. So
And that's what that's what KCO, which is who has our over insurance, right? And they give us a lot of guidance, has said, and also our county attorney, Jenny Heyman, has said as well. In discussion here, Bert, I didn't think about this when we were putting this resolution together, but I think it'd be important to be part of this resolution. And if we can add that, you think it's appropriate that I can add something to this resolution before we vote on it?
I believe so.
Okay. We'll see. We'll verify. But I'd like to add that whatever your terms are, that is presented back to the judge executive's office in writing. So whatever kind
A
of
copy of the contract.
whatever kind of contract and what the terms of the planning commission is.
Right. So the way I envision this, the planning commission and probably the chairman, the planning commission will authorize the chairman to execute a contract.
Right.
And the terms of that contract, and then I can just present that back.
And I would
you
like
all.
to have a copy of that for us, just so we know what those terms are. Yeah.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I would like, if that's all right, guys, I think it might be important to be part of this resolution. And so we'll add that to this resolution
I make that motion and add what you just
after the
said.
change. Okay.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, call the roll, please. Thanks, guys.
Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, thanks, Bert. Thanks, guys. Next is Resolution 1917. This is refunding the county for the Chase Bank building purchase. Guys, by KRS, some revenue regulations, treasury regulations, we have to basically declare that we're going to reimburse ourselves back for purchasing of the monies that we're going to spend on the Chase Bank building. And so this resolution, and it's long, but it does basically allow us to refund ourselves back once we get bonding approvals and any kind of renovations that's going to go on in that facility. Once we package it all together, we will be able to reimburse ourselves back up to an amount not to exceed $750,000. And so that's basically what this resolution states. And this will allow us to do that. And there's some time limits on that as well, that you have to do it within so many days before you close or after you close. And then you have so long, I think maybe up to a year and a half or something, to be able to reimburse yourself back. So if you all approve in resolution 1917 for refunding the county back for the purchase of the Chase Bank building, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second? Is there any discussion on this, guys?
Nope.
Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is Resolution 1918. This is where we amended the agenda, guys, for the Build Transportation Grant. A resolution of support for the Madison County 2019 Build Transportation Project. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court wishes to show in their submission of the 2019 Build Transportation Grant Program for the widening of Kentucky Highway 52, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court Kentucky wants to encourage regional partnerships with our surrounding counties, and whereas the successful funding of the Madison County 2019 Build Transportation Grant Program would greatly improve the safety, access, and economic opportunities for Madison County, and whereas the County of Madison, Kentucky authorizes the Judge Executive to sign a letter of support for the 2019 Build Transportation Grant. Now therefore be it resolved that Madison County Fiscal Court hereby has passed this resolution on this day of July 2019 by Madison County, Kentucky, done by on a motion by. So we'll fill all that stuff out in July.
Are there funds associated with that, Judge?
Yes, I mean, part of that is the Transportation Cabinet's job is to sort of put the cost and estimated cost of right-of-ways and construction and utility replacements and stuff like that. Man, I'm almost afraid to announce what that amount is because I don't want to be wrong, but I think that project for 52 is somewhere around $12 million. And this would be a federal grant. We feel like a lot better application this year than we did last year. We've got a lot of support. I called my county judge executives on our western side from Lincoln, Garrett, Boyle, and Jessamine counties together to ask for all their supports from their fiscal courts, because that 52 corridor to Duncannon really opens up a western part of central Kentucky that we don't have great access to, you know. I was telling some in a meeting when I was a kid and I was going to Lancaster, was going to the Lancaster stockyards, my grandfather or whatever. You always took 1295 because that was the better road. Anybody remember that? 1295 was a lot better than 52, right? Well, now you wouldn't dare take 1295, because how great 52 is. And so now once you connect it to Duncannon exit, I mean, it's really going to open that up for that part of our communities to really be regional partners, to really feed off of one another. It taps us in, I feel like, to a lot bigger workforce. And it goes both ways. It taps them into a workforce that we have. And so it really is a good opportunity. The opportunity zone now that Colleen worked on, with that, it's right in that area as well. We talked about our Central Kentucky Regional Airport expansions and a new road to our airport that would be off of this project. And it can really open up that part of the county for really big things, especially with that exit 83 interchange. The Begley properties there, they've got 1,400 plus acres, I think over 1,000 in one track, which is huge. That's in the city of Richmond, but we all feed off of it, right? We all benefit in some form or fashion. So it's a good opportunity. It's going to help us on on trucks, not driving down Peytontown Road trying to get to Lancaster, or getting stuck, Tom, in the railroad tunnel on White Station, or crossing the wooden bridge on Menless.
Yeah,
you know,
not mention the safety aspect.
the safety aspect is huge.
Do we have any idea of who we're competing against this year? I know last year there was a list of folks that.
There was.
Just one.
You know, there still are some. We feel like this and a project north of us is probably really the competition. I mean, there could be others, you know. I mean, everybody's got their projects that they're going after. No bill grants get funded the first application, you know. I mean, there's probably statistics that show they might not the second. But we've got a lot of support from our Congressman Andy Barr. We've got support from Leader McConnell's office just because of what it does to this region. You know, you all have been aware of the Nicholasville Road connector. Man,
It's probably not going to happen.
right, it's not. I mean, but you're aware of it. I mean, you've heard about the Nicholasville Road connector. Well, this really could be in exchange for that. Other than a short section of 27, this could allow Jessamine County folks, Nicholasville folks, that part to get over to I-75 a lot easier by utilizing 27 and then 52, you know. And a lot of these projects are steps, right? But it's a lot smarter, in our opinion, of taxpayer dollars. I mean, you can imagine how expensive that Nicholasville Road connector was from Jessamine County over to, I think at the time, maybe exit 95. But, you know, this is utilizing projects that are already there that could get a lot of the same benefit. So
Definitely open up a lot of things and the opportunities. I don't know.
absolutely.
Judge, is there any cost share involved in this proposal?
Yes, it's our normal. You know, we had already supported, you know, our $500,000 in support of this. The city of Richmond, I think, if it's my understanding that they're going to be discussing this tonight in their city commission meeting. The Begleys, we got in kind, I think up to $600,000. The Begleys in right of ways. That is from the private side. So there's a lot of return on investment here for us. And all those things are not really they're not have-tos, but it makes you a stronger application. You know, when you can bring those regional partners to the table, you know, you got cities, you've got counties, you got private investment going into it. I mean, that's
I think anytime
good.
you show you're willing to put your fair share into effort, some kind of project, it's going to go farther, you know.
So it's exciting. I mean, I'll be a little disappointed. I'm sure in October and November when they put the list out that they've approved. But we've done a lot more due diligence this year, and we've been a lot more involved in this one this year ourselves. Had conference calls with you know, federal departments that they're sort of in charge to make sure that they kind of coached us on what a good application is and what was missing from last year's. You know, it's kind of a briefing on last year's application so that, you know, we could do a better application this year. And we've been a lot more involved in this one this year. Last year it was sort of a last minute thing, if y'all remember, and it was the state transportation cabinet's guidance. We worked with Ron Rigney, and we appreciate them, and we're working with them again this year, but we've just been a little bit more involved in the application. Colleen's been very engaged in it and putting all the partners together. Like I said, meeting with other county judges, and it's a good opportunity. I mean, I'm excited. I feel a lot better about this application than I did last year's. And at the end of the day, we can be disappointed in November if we don't get it, but we don't need to hang our head too long. We need to be ready to try it again the next year, you know, because these federal grants happen, and somebody's going to get them. And this is an important project and a good project for the community. So,
Judge, I make a motion to approve Resolution 1918, the Build Transportation Grant.
thanks, Tom. Do I have a second?
Second.
No further discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is a detention center health services agreement. Today I'll be asking the fiscal court to allow me the permission to sign the renewal for Southern Health Partners on their contract. It's a yearly renewal that technically goes into effect July 1st through June 30th, 2020. Their proposed cost this year will be $400,008. That's $33,333.34 per month. They will be going to a little longer. They'll be going to 16 hours per day with those fees, and they'll also be doing 7 days per week, which I think, were you already doing 7 days a week?
We were, and this really isn't a change.
This not a change, okay, so that's all we already would do.
They put some numbers in here because I'd asked them to, but this is actually a renewal of the existing contract.
Okay, what will that amount be then,
It's
Steve?
$365.
So it's the 365, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right. So if y'all approve, and so guys, just so you understand what this is, so that's based off of 375 inmates.
Anything above that is $1.35.
$1.35 more per day.
So the 365,000, and because of our current count being around 400, it's probably going to be another 10 or 11,000.
Yep. So just know that.
I think this is just a good learning lesson for the public, of what we're having to spend at the jail that people really don't know about.
At last year's budget, we had 380,000 in it. And this year's budget, I think we put 420 because we were anticipating some bigger numbers. So
The numbers, and there's some unknown cost in medical.
yeah, right. And so if y'all approve, and then the base annual fee of $365,914.80, if you want to know that. And then if it's over 375, it's $1.35 per day per individual. Over 375 inmates. Is everybody clear? I muddied the water a little bit on that.
I'm clear, but wouldn't it, well, do we gonna,
Yeah,
wouldn't it make more sense to allocate the money up front than have to go back and forth with it when we know right from the get-go that we're behind? We're already above 375. We're starting in the hole on it. Why don't we put that money in the contract up front?
It's the way they wrote the prices, Tom, for the contract. The company they do it in increments. I think it's a 50 or a 75 increment. So at 375, and then it would jump to like 450. We're in between right now.
And I think we do have that, Tom, in the budget because our budget is 420.
Mm-hmm.
So we're approving the base basically of 365, 914.80, and then whatever their counts are, you just add those up would be the addition. Well, there's really no amending it because we've already given the authority to spend up to $420,000 because we've already approved the budget.
Getting competition on it this year?
Nothing reasonable.
That price, I don't believe you will.
No, it's much like the food contract we talked about, Larry. Very, very reasonable for what they do, and I'm very happy with their services.
And we have done that in the past about pricing it out, and others were, well, some can't provide the service, and
Right.
and others are a lot more expensive.
Most part, we never could get anybody else to bid on it.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
was
we had one, I
part of
think,
it.
and it was hard to get
Yeah,
that,
in the
and they
past.
were a lot higher. So
But the bottom line is, if jailer's happy with it, I guess I'm happy with it.
yeah. So do I have a motion and a second to allow me to sign the renewal for Southern Health Partners?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
No further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the discussion. Next is our road concrete bids. Scott? Hi, buddy.
We have received only one bid correctly when we bidded out concrete. And what I mean by that, just so everybody, to be upfront, everybody knows what has happened. We sent these bids out, and there was some companies sent their bids in email form. Those email forms were not opened. We can't accept bids in that manner. So we did have one concrete bid that was sent into the office, time-stamped and opened, and that is from Triple Crown Concrete. My recommendation is that we deny the bid due to price. All the years in the past, we've paid around $105 a cubic yard for concrete. Their bid come in at $120 for 3,500 PSI and $140 for 4,500 PSI. The biggest thing with their contract is there is a delivery fee on every step of yardage. In the past, we've only paid a delivery fee when it was less than 3 cubic yards. So not only is the price a lot higher, but the delivery charge is a lot higher. So I suggest that we reject the bid from Triple Crown and rebid, go back through the rebid process to rebid concrete again.
So move.
So I have a motion and a second to go with our Scott Shepherd's recommendation on our concrete bids to reject all concrete bids from previous bid. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Bodkin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Next is Sheriff's 2018 tax settlement. The Sheriff's tax settlement. Good morning. That'll be a bruise. Huh?
I don't do that. Okay, I have given you all the figures for 2018 taxes, and if you'll see on the second page, this is what we were off.
Where's our 46 cents?
I don't know. I'm hoping it was rounding. But we had 35,895 tax bills. The districts, oh, let's see, we only had 1,455 delinquent tax bills, so I thought that was good for this year.
I think it's pretty impressive. How much money goes through the sheriff's office
In taxes,
in taxes from what would it be, October 30th?
October 1st
October 1st through
April 15th.
April 15th. How much money goes through? Do you know?
Probably over 50 million.
So out of $50 million that goes through the sheriff's office, I mean, less than $1? Pretty daggone good. Yeah, pretty impressive. You should be proud. Sheriff, you should be proud.
Got some good
The bad part,
employees.
we don't get much of that.
Oh, no, we don't. Now,
That's the bad part. If you look
yeah.
at school, you see where it all
Yeah,
goes.
you know
Nothing
where it's
personal,
going.
but
But you're not supposed to say that,
I know. But, you know,
but it's always on your mind.
it is.
Truth.
It's-
I was amazed just looking at it by the fact that the library got $3.3 million and we got 4.7. I mean, I'm not throwing rocks at the library, but golly, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
A lot of blacktopping, wouldn't it, Tom?
You know, in the real
A
estate,
lot of things.
when you look at the real estate part of it, it's tough, ain't it? Tough to look at.
Judge, is there any way we can have this numbers posted online so the public can actually take a look at percentage of the taxes and where they're allotted?
That would be up to the sheriff's office and to me. I mean,
I just think the public need to know what portion goes to the fiscal court, what goes to the library, the health department, extension, and ambulance, and so forth. The school board, yeah.
if the if the sheriff would like to post it, I mean, I guess we can post it too.
Well,
If the sheriff don't care.
It's public record.
It's public record.
It's on your tax bill, which percentage goes to each department, so just check your tax bills, people, and.
Yeah,
see.
I've actually considered, and I've actually made these comments to some of our legislatures at state level of, would the county get, hit so much about taxes if we had our own tax bill? If when you had to write your property tax bill and it was specific to Madison County Fiscal Court, and on that $100,000 assessment, you wrote that tax bill for $82. But most people, when they write that tax bill, they write it for $1,000. They write that check for $1,000, and then they don't, sort of like getting a receipt at a restaurant. A lot of times you don't really look at what everything costs. You looked at the total, right? And you just pay it. And at the end of the day, it takes money. The government's got to have tax dollars. There's no question. What we've got to do is be as efficient as possible with them as we can. But we don't need to be blamed for other taxing districts, amounts they get. I'm not saying they're inefficient with those monies whatsoever, but these taxing districts are important too. I mean, they're part of quality of life. I mean, they're the education component. I mean, our schools. It's important to have educated generations, right? I mean, schools are important. But I think a lot of times people don't break it down into that detail. So if we were on our own tax bill, I don't think that we would get sometimes criticized as much as maybe we do, or get blamed for other taxing districts, So, do we need to approve your tax settlement? Do we need to vote to approve your 2018 sheriff's tax settlement?
I don't think you have to, but
It just needs to be publicly presented?
So I can finish up, so they can finish up with me.
Judge, I'd like to bring up that I've had a meeting with the superintendent of Madison County Schools and talked to them about raising just 0.5%. But you take the ambulance service and some of these other entities that we collect taxes on, we get 4%. And where we get 1.5% for the county schools. And that money helps fund our budget, and then what our budget needs to be is what you all help us out with. But if we could just get the schools to go up 0.5%, it would make a big difference. But like I said, we've met with them, talked to them.
The hard part in a lot of this stuff, the hard part in a lot of this stuff goes back to statute, to what has been already written in the laws from previous years. I mean, It goes back many years. It goes back to jails, and the county's responsibilities. It goes back to, the schools and what they have to pay. I mean, KRS states what you have to follow and the rules you have to follow. And, that's where sometimes that the KRS hasn't moved with society and where government has gone, because the counties is an arm of the state, and so there's a lot of those, I talk about it all the time, unfunded mandates that get passed down to us. And it's written in KRS, and it's hard to argue a lot of those, issues, when they're written in the KRS.
Mike, one thing you got a little leverage, because the law does not state you have to collect it, but I know they're paying you to collect it. Don't get me wrong, I understand that, but what if you didn't? They don't have no option.
They can hire someone else.
They'd have to.
Collect it. I mean, it's an issue that we've discussed many times, but when they set their budget, they have an idea of what money is going to be collected, and when they have projects and things like that. But we have a duty for the citizens of Madison County to provide them with a service that I feel that we provide an excellent service. And part of it is collecting taxes and serving papers and providing court security and then 24-hour patrol that we provide, and then drug problem going to a drug epidemic, you know, that's a top priority for us that we look at each and every day. But, you know, you made a comment, Judge, there about out of over the 50 million that we have collected. I'd like to commend Mary Margaret and our staff there for such a job that they do. We've made some changes there. We've put a payment box on the outside of the building for people after hours. So we increased our hours from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4:30. We've done a lot of changes to make it easier for our constituents of the county. And, you know, from October the 1st to April, that's some pretty hectic times when you've got people coming in. And also Kenny, you know, he provides a person that there in the tax office too, where we can double up on some things. And it's worked good. It's worked real smooth for the last 3 or 4 years, the way we've approached it. And like I said, I'd like to commend Mary and our staff for the hard work and the dedication that they put in each and every day.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. If there's no vote required, thank you, Mary Margaret.
Okay,
Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
Job well done.
Thank you, Mary Margaret.
Guys, next on the agenda is executive session. I need a motion, a second, to go into an executive session regarding a personnel issue.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes.
Up here or back here?
All right, we ready? Do I have a, he had to leave. He had to go to the doctor. Larry did. Yeah. I need a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Master Biken?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes, sir.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. At this time, no action is needed after executive session with personnel. Moving on to the judge's report. Since we're running a little long here, I'm just going to try to make this a little bit short. Just a few announcements. I always want to make sure that people are aware. Madison County Fair and Horse Show will be July 26th through August the 3rd at the Madison County Fairgrounds on US 52 East. Please see the Madison County Fair's website for a complete schedule. Berea Chamber of Commerce is accepting vendor applications for this year's Spoonbread Festival in September. Contact the Berea Chamber or see their website for the proper forms and regulations. And that's all I'm going to talk about today. I appreciate everybody being here as well. Tom?
Hey, just a few things, Judge. I just want to let everybody know that the Arbuckle Bridge is back open. Scott and I were riding around the other day and went down through. I got a couple of pictures up. They've done a really good job down there, so we want to commend them guys for that. We have addressed some of the blacktop issues. It looks like right now that that we're probably going to be doing blacktop on Menelus Road and Idlewild subdivision, even though I've had requests also from the Meadows and Deerfield, which are all legitimate requests. The two that I mentioned above are the absolute worst of those, so that's where the money's going for this year. And, you know, we talked about this once before, Judge, but whenever you start getting in those subdivisions, I mean, you're going to eat a budget up just like that. In some of those cases, in the Meadows and Deerfield both, you know, those may be multi-year projects because of the limited amount of funds over there. So just want everyone to know about that. Grass cutting is still going on, and limb cutting. I have requested through the state that 595 be cut back. You know, the limbs are right up on the road, and Brad and I rode around and saw that. And a lot of the places that we went and looked at, he has already taken care of. That's one that still needs to be addressed, as well as 21 from Paint Lake to Wollaston. I was down through there the other day, and it's pretty grown up on the sides of the road there to the case of, in some places you can't even see the signs. And so, I mean, you need a lot of work when your signs are covered up, and so I'm sure they'll address that pretty soon. Last thing I had was just the bridge over at CSX, you know, the railroad crossing there over Menelus. That bridge, you know, we hadn't much more than got it fixed until it was struck again by another semi-truck, which shouldn't have been going over the bridge to begin with because it has a 3-ton limit on it. But nevertheless, they went over it, tore up the guardrail, tore up the bridge. So, you know, just want to just once again add that folks be cautious when they're heading in that area. Hopefully, CSX will get out there and fix the bridge. They're part of it pretty soon. Then the state can address the guardrail, which is a slow process in itself. If anyone needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Thanks, Tom. John?
Judge, a lot of people are aware that there was a serious accident, a fatality at the Bybee crossing on 52 this past week, and I've had some calls on that. I've mentioned that to you, and we're contacting Senator Carpenter and their representatives and try to maybe insist that the Transportation Department look at getting a caution light or some way to slow the traffic down up there at Bybee. You come up the hill from Estill County, you come up the hill from Waco, and people are doing 60, 70 mile an hour through that crossing there, and it's just dangerous. And that is a very dangerous road, 52. They drive over the speed limit on it anyway. So people, please slow down and obey the traffic laws and your safety and the safety of others. The mowing is continuing. I just want to make a caution about mowing your yards and throwing the grass out on the roadways in front of your house. It gets the grass off your yard, but it makes it dangerous for motorcycles and traffic out on the roadways. So please be courteous and don't throw the green grass clippings out in the roads and the streets. And one last little notice here, the Peacock Bridge on Peacock Road was closed yesterday. It will be closed for 2 to 3 weeks with a complete rebuild on that bridge, so that road will be blocked at that bridge crossing there. So be careful and be cautious and patient. The state's working on trying to get that back up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's all I have, Judge.
Thanks, John. Roger?
Tom mentioned the state cutting some of the trees back. The state's been on Jacks Creek, and they're pretty much finished with Jacks Creek chopping the trees back. Done a good job. I appreciate them. I usually try to brag on Scott and Willie a little bit. Willie's been covered up with tickets on his desk, and he's done more and get them finished, or the stack's right back up. So they need all the help they can get to try to get these issues settled. But one particular employee this time that I want to speak about is Melissa, and I apologize for not knowing Melissa's last name.
Settle.
Road Department.
Settle.
She's evidently a fine employee. I get comments on her all the time about the way she talks to them on the phone, how accurate she is, how polite she is, and how she knows her job. And that's what you got to have, because this lady talks to the public every day. And when I mean the public, I mean most of them is aggravated because whatever they need done hadn't been done yet. And evidently she satisfies them good enough. She does a fine job.
I did tell that.
Willie and I was looking at an issue this past week, and they commented on how good a job she does and how she spoke to them. But I just want to give a shout out to her. That'll do it.
Thanks, Roger. I am going to mention one other thing, Roger, that I probably should have mentioned, but Roger and I had the opportunity last week to go out in the 2nd District and ride around. And it was nice to, unsolicited, it was nice to go out there on Renfro Ridge in Baldwin and see our men out there unsolicited working. And they were cutting back the roadways, and it looked really good. I was very, very impressed and was proud of the job that they were doing. So,
Judge, would you read that for us, please?
oh, sure. Yeah. Richmond Lodge number 25, F and A&M's.
Free and accepted Masons.
Okay. Backpack program, hot dogs cookout. This is Thursday, July the 8th. July 18th, 6 p.m. Also Thursday, August 15th at 6 p.m. and Thursday, September 19th at 6 p.m. Richmond Lodge number 25, free and accepted Mason, South Porter Drive, Richmond. All proceeds to benefit programs in the Madison County helping to feed school kids.
So if you get the opportunity to go down and participate in that, I know everyone will appreciate that.
Can I keep this?
Yes, sir.
We'll stick it on the board at the courthouse. Can you handle that, Kenny? Kenny, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Sheriff?
No, sir.
Steve? Brooke, you good? Comments from department heads? Anybody? Comments from the audience? Taylor and Taylor. Y'all good, aren't you? All right, need a motion to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next meeting, July 23rd, 2019 in Richmond. Again, next meeting is July the 23rd, 2019 in Richmond. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody being here.
You got anything for me to sign?
No, not right now. I might.